How do the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers maintain that edge even when you know your roster is going to be ravaged and coaches are going to move up to bigger and better spots? Well, you do it with a certain look in your eye. Director of Scouting Zach Kramme joins Scouting the League today to talk about Tyson Helton running that program, the way they operate, knowing the roster is going to be dipped into by P4 schools across the country, his origin story, and so much more today here on Scouting the League. Everybody, and welcome to Scouting the League. Excited for my conversation, our conversation, Neil and I, of course, with Zach Kramme, Director of Scouting up at Western Kentucky, a guy that I have known for a good bit, spent some time with him down at Tennessee, Chattanooga, back on the road. Great conversation, great insight, wide open conversation, some really fun stuff. Before we get into it, though, make sure you head over, like, subscribe, and share this podcast wherever you are listening and watching. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or that video portion over on YouTube. Hit those buttons. Most importantly, share this with a friend. Let's get the Hilltopper faithful out there as well. A ton of really good, positive stuff about this program, about Coach Helton running the way he does, about everything up there on campus. It's a great spot, great visit for scouts. There's a reason why we talk about all of that today. Make sure you check out our upcoming guests as we jump back into the draft room with Brian Zekis, Dane Vandernat, Fran Duffy, and more as we get Dane Brugler of The Athletic on, as well as every conversation we have every week. Really good stuff. Always look forward to having our guests on, talking football, talking scouting, the insight to everything. Make sure you check out our sponsors as well over at BlueMaka.com, BLUMAKA, if you need insoles, whether it's just for comfort, for training purposes, to increase performance, whether it's that carbon fiber insole for that turf toe. Go check everything out over at BlueMaka.com. Head back, check out the archives, and listen to our conversation with Chief Innovation Officer Stuart Jenkins, and you'll use code SCOUTING20 at checkout for that 20% off your order. Also, check out inactiveco.com. As we sat down with Jill and Lori a couple of weeks ago, improve your sleep. Everybody could use that. As simple as putting on a sleep mask and getting better sleep. So you check out both those conversations, check out those websites. Also, check out thescoutingcommunity.com. If you are a current scout that wants to improve the landscape of scouting, go sign up today, whether it's salary surveys, more in-depth information on anything in the scouting world. If you just have questions or you need maybe an assist from somebody outside your building on information, completely anonymous, I will be here to work for you, your non-union union, to help you in every area you need. And aspiring scouts, if it is one day your hope to sit in an NFL front office in a scouting building, make sure you sign up as well. Just scroll down a little bit on thescoutingcommunity.com, get signed up. It will be networking, conversations on what you need to be doing now, learning to watch film with me as we go through each week or every couple of weeks, watching film together. The scouting community for aspiring scouts is going to be a great spot for you. I'm not going to give you a certificate. Certificates are pointless. You don't need that to get into a front office. Do the right things, learn what those right things are. All of that over at thescoutingcommunity.com. But as we jump back in today, Neil and I sit down with Zach Kramme, Director of Scouting at Western Kentucky. Spent time at Georgia Southern, Tennessee, Chattanooga as well. Make sure you listen to the whole show. Get that Twitter handle there at the end. Give him a follow if you haven't already. But let's jump into it with Zach. Well, excited to have you on, Zach. Welcome to Scouting the League.
Welcome.
Cool. Appreciate y'all for having me here.
It is. We're going to be sitting here recording this one on a Monday. You've got a Tuesday night game this week, back-to-back Tuesday games, starting the season hot, 5-1. Dropped the one game to Toledo. A couple of close ones these last couple of weeks, but again, a win is a win. There at Western Kentucky this week. You get to go up Tuesday night against the Fighting Jose Jeffersons, friend of the program, FIU. But again, we'll talk about the season. We'll talk about Coach Helton. We'll talk about everything Western Kentucky. But before we get to that, let's kind of talk with kind of your origin story. You have, as we talk, done it the right way. You've been a grinder, been willing to do whatever it takes. Been at a couple spots now: Georgia Southern, Tennessee Chattanooga, and now Western Kentucky. Who a bit of a football pipeline. Again, players to the NFL, players here and there now, and again, kind of been a breeding ground for some really good stuff. So let's talk about your origin story and kind of how you got to where you are.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be at three really good places. Georgia Southern undergrad, all that good stuff. They've always had a winning tradition. So being able to be a student there and helping recruiting for a little bit, just seeing how their process is and all that stuff is really kind of helped kind of grow to where we're at now. But like I said, started out, did my undergrad at Georgia Southern, was a student assistant there for only one season. I actually coached high school football and baseball my first like 3 years in college before getting into the recruiting piece of it. So had some buddies down there that that's what we kind of did for fun and just to be around football and all that stuff too. So it was a good deal just to be on the coaching side of it and being in high school. And of course, you always have your hand in when coaches come down there to see them too. So you kind of got a good feel of a little bit of that whole process too, which was fun. Um, and honestly, that's what kind of got me interested into the whole, recruiting piece and all that. I was like, wow, it's really cool. These guys get to go around and see, good football players and build their teams that way and all that stuff too. So that's really what kind of got me interested in that piece as well as I was kind of nerdy into the whole NFL draft piece growing up and tracked all that and have my little sheets and whatever it may be. So that was kind of a piece of it too. But after I graduated from Georgia Southern, I needed an internship. I'm actually from Cartersville, Georgia, which is about an hour away from Chattanooga. So kind of just reached out to them. Was still trying to get my foot in the door, still learn a lot of new things. So I figured, at least being close to home, being at a smaller school, you can kind of get your hands on with a lot of different things. So it just made a lot of sense to kind of go up there. And, I volunteered there for, the first 6, 7 months that I was there. I was with Coach Tom Arth, and then Scott Aligo was the GM DPP there, who's now at Coastal. So being under a lot of good people there too. And like I said, you're at a small school, so you're literally helping out with everything from visits to transcripts to evaluating to listen to him talk to you scouts and all that stuff, which was always a blast and all that stuff. So it was just good to kind of get a hands on with all that stuff. And after they left to go to the University of Akron, Coach Rusty Wright was hired at Chattanooga. I kind of did all of his official visits and stuff for his first month, and was still working for free, all that stuff. And kind of after that, I guess I did a decent job, and he hired me on to be his director of scout or director of recruiting. So I was very fortunate, in that piece of it. And then after that, and then we just kind of hit the ground running and kind of built that place up. The portal really wasn't a thing. Well, shoot, that was almost 8 years ago at this point. That's a long time ago, but it really wasn't a thing. So we were kind of building it up, through the high school ranks, kind of just figuring it out day by day, and all that stuff. And then was there for 4 years. Great place to be, by the way. Loved it. Chat's one of the most underrated cities. If you've never been there, go there, check it
Yep,
out.
I can
Literally
attest
the
to
best.
that.
Yeah, we're like, and like a lot of you scout, like you guys would come like, man, I didn't know, Chattanooga was like this. But it really is cool. So I was very fortunate enough um, to be there for 4 years. Learned a lot. Really appreciate my time being there. It was tough to leave, especially you're there for 4 years, seeing all these young kids kind of grow up and be who we kind of thought they were, and all that stuff. And then I was fortunate enough to move up a level here to Western Kentucky. Now I'm going on my fourth year here as the director of scouting and dealing with all the NFL scouts, and it's kind of worked out for us, getting a lot of guys into the league, and we win a lot of freaking football games too. So that's really been kind of the best part of going here and still kind of growing this whole brand and this football team and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's been on the to your point, Chattanooga is a great spot. Again, when I was living down in Atlanta, Chattanooga was a vacation spot, much
Yeah,
less a really good spot to come and visit. And it was always one of those things that, as a young Midwest scout, I was responsible as APT for Tennessee Chattanooga,
yeah,
which meant I was doubly relying on my personnel guys up at Chat and the school to help get everything sorted out. And you were that guy. Learned from Scott Aligo, who's a good one. That, again, saw him at Akron, and obviously he's been to Kansas and Coastal,
yeah,
done good things. Again, the thing that you appreciate about we'll call them personnel guys, that when I was at Chattanooga, a lot of guys like, oh, let me make a phone call and we'll make that happen. No, not at Chattanooga. You were like, yeah, I'll figure that out. I'll get it. And again,
yeah.
that's part of the part of the cutting your teeth and growing up. And it is school like Chattanooga. And as you go to Western now, hopefully, again, you're probably still doing a lot of those things, but hopefully narrowing in, doing a lot of more of the personnel stuff. Again, you mentioned Scott. You mentioned Coach Arth being there, Tyson Helton now at Western Kentucky, been there a long time. Some cultures, again, Chattanooga a little bit more up and down with kind of the way their staff is rolled through, but Coach Helton been there a long time. Who are some of the people between the two schools, your champions, those people that, like, man, I'm picking up the phone and calling every chance I can get when I need advice?
Yeah, I mean, really the first one, man, and he's kind of gotten me every job that I've had from Chat to Western is Kenny Baker. He's the D-line coach at Texas right now. He was the very first person that I met whenever Rusty got hired at Chattanooga. He came walking in. We had no clue who each other was. It was really convenient that we're both from Cartersville as well. Didn't even know that
Wow.
until we started talking to each other. So small world there. But he's a dude. I still talk to him every single week. Asking, of course, what they're doing down there. It was cool when he worked for the Dolphins and kind of got that insight too of how they structured their personnel stuff and all that from the NFL standpoint. So he's been awesome, to talk to and all that stuff. Another, of course, Scott Aligo is still a guy you talk to, and he's been, like I said, Kansas, Michigan State, now at Coastal. He's been in the NFL, so he's invaluable. Just the amount of information he knows, and what he's been through and all that stuff. So he's been really good. But I think the biggest thing is just the amount of coaches that come in and out of this place. You learn a lot from the guys that come into your building. We've had a lot of guys come from Georgia, Ole Miss, things like that, and so they bring a lot of their ways and how they do it. At those previous places. So now you're learning, you're picking their brain of how can we make this piece of it better. So not necessarily is it people that I'm continuing to reach out to, but it's a lot of what you're bringing into this building that kind of helps you grow and develop and learn those little things. So another guy too, just to give him a little shout out, but John Schroff in Indiana, they got that thing rolling right now. Huge game, that they won this past weekend. He's done a dang good job with that portal. So he's another guy and a former Chattanooga guy as well. He was there. So just a lot of those pieces, man. But they're great resources to have. They do a good job of kind of helping me through this whole deal and all that stuff too. So.
Zach, you've worked with Scott, obviously, as you mentioned. You've been exposed to other people with NFL backgrounds. How close is what you have in Bowling Green there to an NFL model? And do you think the NFL model works long time in college, given that, coaches kind of doing the scouting has been the template for a long time? I mean, I think that's kind of the discussion now. Do we make it into more of an NFL model, or do we stay with what we have? And how does that relate to the new portal window? I've thrown a lot at you, so I'll let you talk.
Yeah, I'll probably end up missing one of those things, so we'll keep going through it. But no, I think it's close. I mean, we're getting sent out on the road now too to these JUCOs, so we just got back from Texas, Kansas, the SIP, all that. So we're area scouts within itself as well. But we're also building the roster, going through numbers, pieces like that. But when you talk about building your team as an NFL model, I think we're really starting to get to the point where, the Eagles GM said it best. They're going to draft, they're going to develop, and then they're going to re-sign their guys. And that's kind of where we're getting to at this point too. Where last season we lost 61 guys to the portal. I mean, that's unreal. You have 115 people on your roster, and you lose
Yeah.
literally 50% to the portal. I mean, we had 5D linemen go Power 5, 2O linemen go P5. Like, it's unreal. And that's just the nature of the beast. Like, you can't hate on them or blame them. Or, I mean, if someone's going to offer me $500,000 and a house or a truck, like, yeah, sign me up. Where do I get on the flight at? Like, yes, please. So it's just part of it. But I think kind of the route and kind of where we're at, we've got to be a step ahead of where things are going. I think initially we started out with the portal. We were kind of one of the first people to really be successful in it. And, the first year I think they took, it was right before I got here. I think it was, out of the 30 guys, it was 21 portal guys. So kind of being ahead of the curve there. Well, now we've got to be ahead of the curve on the back end, and maybe, hey, let's go take these high school kids, develop them, retain them, don't let them leave, like that type of piece. So that's kind of how we're going with that piece of it. Just, but it'll never work out like that. We have these grand ideas that we're going to keep our guys, but like I said, we don't have $500,000 to keep a player or whatever it may be. That's our whole budget half the time. So it's just part of it. But trying to have a plan that you can keep developing these kids, and this is where we're trying to get to. I think at the end of the day, the more and more that you do that and you try to stick to that plan, it's only going to help in the long run.
Well, one quick follow up, Rodrik, if you don't mind. Are we to the point now where in the old days, if I'm at Alabama or I'm at LSU or whatever, I'm telling a kid, listen, we know how to get you to the NFL. Are we to the point now, if I'm a G5 school, my pitch is we know how to get you to P4 and to get you the big dollar?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
I mean, I'm not even kidding about that.
No, me neither. I mean, it's a selling point with a lot of these junior college guys too. It's like, hey, come here, come play, and then you're gonna go make $500,000 the next year at a Power Five school. Like you need tape. Like don't go settle to go to these bigger schools for 100,000 when you come in here and you have 500 snaps and you have 1,000 yards receiving. You're gonna go make whatever you want to at wherever you want to go. So I think that is a selling point. But I think the selling point for our team too is how successful um, it's been us getting our guys to the league, if that makes sense. So, Upton Stout stayed here. He could have went to Michigan, USC stayed here, got drafted. He's starting for the 49ers. He might be the dang rookie of the year, whatever it may be. He stayed, it worked out. Malachi Corley the same way, Broderick Martin the same way, D'Angelo Malone, like the names and lists go on and on. So I think you have a little bit of advantages of both, to where it's proven where one, if you stay here, you're going to get drafted. At least they got to talk about you, look at you, all that stuff. But it's also the same deal too, where it's like, hey man, if you're really just wanting the money, come here, ball out, and go get a check. So you really have both sides to work with here, which is kind of unique, in a lot of different ways. So I think it's a good healthy balance of both here.
Zach, it may be just your personality. Again, I know you pretty well, know that this is kind of who you are, and it's easy to be like, oh man, that's just the way it is. Like, we're going to go get our guys. But from a program standpoint, there's always going to be frustrating times. Like, man, we really thought we were going to keep this guy. It's like, oh, we expected two of them, not again 5 of them to go. Does that also come from the head coach? Does it come from administration? Like that, hey, this is the boat we're in. We're going to figure out a way. Let's just go get it done. Where does that come from?
Uh, a little bit of both. I think it's just the nature of beast at this point. You've been so successful here that you're always going to be a team that teams start at when they're, and let's just be real, whenever they pre-portal. We're one of the top teams people are going to look at just because we've had draft picks. We win a lot of freaking football games. So I think that's a piece of it too. And we know where we're at. Our head coach understands where we're at, but now I think. We're really committed to developing our guys and keeping them here, whatever it may be. A team, for example, and not to get away from Western, but we played Toledo this year. Doing the advanced scouting piece and all that, you kind of get a sense of where they get their guys from. Are they a portal team? Are they a high school team? How many new guys are really on their team? And it was impressive how many guys they were able to keep after being so successful and all that stuff. And after seeing that, I think it really puts things into perspective that you have to keep your football team that you've developed, that you've recruited, and all that stuff to keep winning and being successful. So, and a lot of that, like I said, is, and you mentioned it too, is starting from the 80 down, where it's like, hey, like let's not get ourselves in that situation where we're having to go sign 61 guys. Like let's put the money into our own program. Let's have the best facilities. Let's have the best nutrition. We're in the process of building a brand new indoor. It should be done in the next couple of weeks. So even little things like that, where you have the resources, and it may not be monetary, but you have everything that's going to make him be successful. And I think that's been important. Like I said, from the 80 down to Coach Helton down to all that's the message he keeps preaching is, we may not have the money, but let's go out here and let's make sure we have the food. Let's make sure we have the indoor, the weight, all that little stuff is going to kind of keep these guys around here. Even if someone is offering 500,000, let's maybe, hey, we're going to get you to the league, or we still got everything you need. You're going to play. Like you can kind of reason with some people that way. So it is tough, but at the same point, like that's where we're at now. So we just got to combat it the best way and try to be ahead of the curve the best we can.
You
Losing players,
mentioned,
you expect to lose players at this point. You're going to lose players, portal, NFL, whatever it is. Every high level head coach talks about the attrition of the coaching staff as well, especially when you start talking about that development piece. When you are constantly losing coordinators, again, whether it's just a nuanced scheme change or massive scheme change, or again, just your best teacher, again, all of a sudden goes and becomes just a position coach to a coordinator. What about Coach Helton? What about Western Kentucky? What you guys are doing that you've evaluated and seen there has like you continue to develop them regardless of who is at positions and who is on each side of the ball. Like, hey, we're still going to be really good. What have you noticed about Coach Helton, and again the way that Western Kentucky as a whole is able to kind of maintain that nice line?
Yeah, I mean, I think, he's done a hell of a job, bringing in new staff members every single year that, whether they go P5 and or they go to the NFL or wherever it may be, he brings in a good mixture of both guys that have done it before, so older guys, but he also has a good mix of these younger guys who are whether they're juice guys or they're good recruiters or whatever it may be. He does a really good job of balancing all those guys together. I think we bring in the right players too. He's very big on, and he always says they have to have the right look in their eye. He could be the best player in the world. He could be J.J. Watt, but if he doesn't have the look in his eye that he wants, we ain't gonna take him. And I think that's why we've been successful too. Is he takes the right players that want to be here, that want to compete, that want to win games, and those guys want to be coached. So I think it's just a little bit of both. We always have good coaches that's attractive, and even on their side, it's a place where it's a good stepping stone to go to the next level. I mean, you take a look at our 2022 coaching staff. Oh, it's unreal. I mean, you have Ben Arbuckle that's at Oklahoma. You got Josh Crawford, the receiver coaches at Georgia, the D-line coaches at Texas, the DBs coaches at Texas, the DCs like everybody on that staff. The outside backers coach is the safeties coach with the Vikings. Like it's a stepping stone to get to where you want to be, but it's also a good place where you come in here and you're going to win. You're going to have a supportive head coach that'll get you what you need. He's a big family person too, so work environment, all that stuff's great. So it's really just a big balance of everything that kind of makes it successful and makes it an attractive place where not only do players want to come, but coaches want to come work here. So he's done a really good job of that piece.
You talked about earlier Corley and Martin and Stout and the fact that you are sending guys to the league despite the fact that they had opportunities, I'm sure, in the portal. And you talked about the fact you got facilities and coaches and all those kind of things. But what are you doing to keep those guys there? I mean, you have to be having some conversations with them at some point because you know they're getting opportunities. What is it that you think is this? I mean, I don't want you to give away something proprietary, but what's the secret sauce in keeping guys like that when you're a G5 program?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing too, where it comes to those kids have the right mindset and loyalty and things like that. I mean, this past year, we have a tackle that could have went anywhere he wanted to, but after going on his visits, it wasn't any better. The money wasn't much better. The coaching wasn't any better, and he just wanted to be a loyal guy. And like I said, when you're around a guy like Coach Helton, where there is no gray area. It is very black and white. People want to play for that because you know where he stands. You know he's going to keep his word as to whatever he promised for you. You know he's going to help you do whatever it may be, whatever you need. You just go into his all, and he's going to make sure you're taken care of. And I think he's done that time and time again to where he's trusted and people know that's the piece of it. So and like I said, there's no secret to it. But I do think that what we've done in the past with getting these guys to where they want to be, it's just proven that it can happen here. And I think a lot of that too, being back to my time at Chattanooga, we really didn't have people leave that place and get poached because Rusty was the same way. He was very, black and white. You knew where he stood, but you also knew where we got Cole Strange to the NFL. You had all those other guys get picked up or whatever it may be. So, people just wanted to be around there because why leave when you have it good? And the grass isn't always greener. We do a good job of, when our guys do leave, we honestly keep a tally of their production, how much they
Really?
played, did they get drafted. So we have some models to show them and kind of correlate some things to as well. So it's a lot of different things, but like I said, I think people just want to play for Coach Helton and be around a guy that you know what you're getting in and day out of.
Is it hard to keep the communication lines open when you know you've got a kid who's out there testing the waters, talking to big programs? I mean, is it hard to kind of, I don't know, have that humility with them and as well as the transparency, knowing that you're probably not going to be able to match a money offer? You're just going to have to match it with other things. That's got to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to be real with them. Help them make the best decision and be realistic with them, because they see money signs. We see, hey, this is not your scheme fit. There's 3D tackles that are going to be ahead of you. There's little things like that you kind of feed into them, to where at least they know you're doing your research to help them out, or you at least care for them to put them in a good situation. And shoot, we pick up the phone and call these schools and ask if their offer's real. Hey, are
Really?
you really going to pay our O lineman $500,000? And if the answer is yes, hey buddy, we're going to go help you pack your bags. Like you shouldn't turn that down. But
And
it's
they're
just
willing to confirm that with you then.
yeah. I mean,
Wow.
you just have a good relationship with these, and at the end of the day, like, we're gonna keep being the school that they look at to take our guys. So if they're honest with us about they're gonna be real paying them, like maybe they think we'll keep sending them guys. I don't know, but it's just part of that whole process, and I think everyone's got to be transparent now too, because you have kids coming to us saying, oh, and this is hypothetical, but ODU's going to pay me $100,000. Well, we call ODU and they're like, that's never once been said. So you have it both ways as well, or maybe the kid's leaving ODU and he said they were paying him $100,000 and you find out that's not true. So
Mm-hmm.
just being open in this whole business is being very very critical right now with the whole money piece, since there is no um, I guess right way to figure out who's being honest and all that stuff. So that's kind of how we're going about it at this point.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
that if only that honesty and integrity was a universally accepted and required principle
Yeah,
for people.
that'd be cool. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be great. One of the things again, established head coach and we'll call it a football program. Obviously, Western's got some other good programs, but in today's day and age, as we start talking about share and that money piece. We're hearing more and more schools, whatever it is, like, hey, we can't, it can't just stop at the head coach and GM. It has to be like AD and even higher than that. At Western Kentucky, how are you guys staying in touch with, again, you're talking higher and higher levels within that university organization? Because again, it is still under the guise of student athletes and education and the school and all that piece. Like, how were those conversations? What is that, pipeline and communication like with people even higher up in the university?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely starts at the top down, but I think the other hard part is things change every hour. So we can have a conversation about something that morning, and then that night it's completely different. I mean, it's just ever changing. So just having a very broad, I guess, overview of what could be happening, how we're going to get to that point. From a financial standpoint, how are we going to come up with the money? What are we going to do with that piece of it? Just because, I mean, and everybody's different. I mean, our rev share number is going to be different than, another school. So just having and also having an athletic director that understands it. He's been, been here a while, but he's also done, he's been in the NFL at a piece of it as well. So just him having an understanding, and what helps too is I think he's on the committee for a lot of this stuff. So we get some insight to that as well. But I think it's just it very much is top down. For me, we're not involved in a lot of those conversations. Not necessarily do I want to be either, just because, at a certain point you kind of get tired of listening to it and everything changing and it doesn't matter. Like, it's just part of it. But our head coach is always gonna figure it out. Our community does a good job of backing the football team, and it's a big college town. We've always been successful, and we're close to a lot of big things in Nashville as well, which kind of helps us out too. So it's just ever changing, but like I said, our administration is really good as far as being on top of it, having a plan, and being a step ahead as well. But no, I think they do a really good job with that piece.
Sure.
Zach, obviously we know that we have a new portal reality as far as changing the window and those kind of things. We're not going to see a December window. We're not going to see a spring window. We're going to see those first 2 weeks in January. That seems crazy. I think Rodrik and I have kind of already come out and said that. Is it crazy? I mean, obviously we have a reality is we have to get kids enrolled. The reality is a number of things, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of football being played during that time. A lot of football being played right before that. How does it change your job? How does it change college football in your estimation? Is it a positive move to have the new window and eliminate having two and just have one and have it in early January? What's your thoughts there?
I think it's great to have one window. I think the timing of it is absolutely idiotic. Just from there's schools that start class January 4th. Okay, if I'm one of those schools, how am I getting, and I'm losing sick, how am I getting kids into classes? And then you have to worry about January. Half your administration is and people on campus are still on vacation, so we're not getting transcripts done. We're not getting kids admitted. The housing's not getting, like, there's a lot of back channels it's not just, hey, I'm gonna go show up at this school and go play. Like, you have to get them into school. You have to get them eligible. You have to get them into class. Like, there's a lot that goes on, and for it to be at that period of time, it's just going to be difficult because even if you do get them in, they're probably not starting until 2 weeks of classes have already started. So now they're behind in the classroom. Are they going to pass it? Are they going to, like? There's just a lot of pieces to it being in January, and like you said, teams are still playing. So I mean, are they, say they're in the championship, are they in bowl? Like, they're just going to opt. Like, what's the point of playing bowl games then if people are just going to go leave and be on a whole new team and all that? So I think the one time is good, but the timing of it just makes no sense. And they keep saying that they're doing it to give coaches off in December, or have some rest, whatever it may be. Well, we're still playing bowl games in December, so what rest are we talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to the timing of it. You got to get it. And at the end of the day too, uh, spring ball and all that stuff, it will never. It needs to be after that, and then spring ball will turn into OTAs. It'll turn into all that piece of it. Just because you're going to lose half your team in you're just restarting over is the whole issue. But the timing's dumb. It'll change again. It'll probably change 4 more times by the end of it and all that stuff. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So
Where do you think the best, if we have one window,
yeah.
where do you think the best place for it is?
I guess after spring ball now it would be the best time, just because it gives kids a chance to go on visits. It gives teams to understand what they have on their team after going through spring ball, what their needs are. It gives these teams a chance to, I guess, renegotiate, money deals if they want to keep them and that kid wants to enter the portal. Um, and it also gives the kids a chance to graduate and finish classes as well. Um, and that's the other piece that it's all football. I mean, you got kids going to 6 different schools, never getting a degree. Like at some point, that's got to come back into play too. So that's it. But one period's good. The timing of it is just, it's just idiotic. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
It's a good
I
two
think a lot
cents.
of
I
people
mean,
agree
that's
with you, obviously.
yeah. I mean, that's you. Now we just have to somehow figure out how to rein these California schools from going into like June for classes and get it all
Yeah,
sorted out. Because again, that's the academic calendar is that huge piece of it that makes it so tough. Because again, no,
yeah,
it is while maybe more uniform than some things. Again, it's still a bit all over
yeah,
the place. And again,
yeah,
I think Neil and I would both agree with you. A single in May ish would certainly make a lot more sense. And
yeah.
again, the NCAA could probably even figure out how to televise it the way the NFL draft
Oh,
is
for sure,
done, and again
for
have a
sure.
whole month long spectacle of what the portal
Yeah,
would be. Because again, then
and
then you don't have to take private equity money, which
yeah.
holy cow, we then whole conversation for a whole nother day with all of that,
Yeah,
which
and
is
the other interesting rule too that they just put out was the whole month of December being dead, and it sounds good on the end. Now it sucks for people who didn't pre-plan in the summer to do their visits with high school kids and all that stuff. But just one other issue with it is all these junior college kids, like they're not gonna be able to go on visits like ever. I mean, the Kansas ones play on Saturdays. We play on Saturdays, so when do they get to, like, you're screwing them as well. So and that's the other piece that has been affected by the transfer portal as well. Just guys either one not going to junior colleges anymore, but you're not taking those guys like they used to be taken. They're all being put on the back burner. Hey, we're gonna go take a transfer guy instead of this dude. So a lot of those things need to kind of get figured out as well. Just because if the JUCO piece is still going to be a part of the NCAA or whatever it may be, like you got to keep looking out for those guys as well, and making it dead, like you're just screwing those guys even more, honestly, because they're not going to be able to visit.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no doubt. So there was a time, Zach, when if I am again, going back before we talked about P4 and P5 and whatever, if I'm a big school quarterback, maybe I was highly recruited, I'm stuck behind a guy who's going to the NFL, but he's going to stick around. I would look to a smaller school to go and maybe get more opportunities. Does the highway only go from G5 to P4 now, or are there still places where you can recruit guys that maybe aren't getting an opportunity and want to be able to come in and play quickly? Is that still a possibility?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's fewer and fewer. Just because I think these P4 kids are going to try to stay P4, whether they're backups or not. Um, I think the times of them coming down, like they used to, where it used to be only P5 to G5 or FCS, like I think are kind of gone. We don't get a ton of those guys here, and a lot of that is because we want guys that have played football. So that's a big piece of our evaluation in the portals. We want guys that have played, that have film, that have shown. We know what we're getting basically out of those guys. So I definitely think there still is that, but it's getting less and less just because those guys want to stay lateral, and there is a reason why they're probably there, but they'll go from a Penn State to a Maryland or something like that versus dropping down here. So, which is fine for those guys. But at the end of the day, some people need to be realistic. And do you want to play or not? So,
Yeah.
it's just case by case.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Let's
understand.
this transition a bit. Zach, you were the pro liaison at Chattanooga. I believe you said you're still the pro liaison there at Western Kentucky. I can attest to it. How good a pro liaison you were back at Chat. Honest, whatever you need. Again, by scout side during the visits, just the whole process. How would you rate what you guys do there at Western Kentucky? Obviously, there's always the piece that you can control, head coach, strength coach, athletic training staff, anybody outside that football building. That's always that piece. How would you rate what you guys do at Western Kentucky when it comes to dealing with NFL scouts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're the best in the business. Our strength coach worked in the NFL as well, so he gets it. He wants to talk to those guys. I mean, he's the first person they talk to when they get on campus here, just because. I mean, he's all in. He's invested in it. He runs our pro day. Like he's the guy that's doing the whole deal. I'm just the paperwork guy at that point. But no, I think we do a good. I mean, we're open. Whoever you want to talk to, whenever you want to talk to. If you want to come watch film at 6 a.m., come on and let's do it. We'll get you set up. If you want to talk to any of our coaches, let's do it. We'll set up a time for that. Academics as well. She's great with those guys as well. Just talking with them, but we try to be open just because we want you guys to have the most information, and we're always going to be honest too. We're never gonna if I think it, is maybe a bad thing, but the character piece is real. I think that is a huge thing, and in y'all's evaluation piece, and it also goes back to when we recruit, we want the coaches to be honest with us about what we're getting, and a lot of times it's not a negative thing. Like if you tell you guys, hey, he's a rep guy, like that's not a negative thing. It at least like, hey, you know what you're getting, you know what
Exactly.
they need to be successful. So I think just being honest and telling the whole story, honestly makes you guys more attractive to take our guys in a
Yep.
sense, just because you know what you're getting.
Yep.
That you know that you're not getting sugar coated anything. You know how to when they get to that level. Hey, we got to have a plan in place to whether it's the money piece or we need a coach here to be with him afterwards. Like that's what it takes for him to be successful. So I think a lot of that is what helps our guys honestly make it to the next level. It's just how open we are about them in general.
Yeah.
So we do a lot we at ITL do a lot of talking to scouts about the visits and which schools do it best and which ones may need a little more work. But I know that scouts tax y'all as well, and there are probably things that dig at you when you're trying to help them, and maybe they aren't as receptive as they should be. When scouts are a problem, why are they a problem? What are they doing that kind of may bug you? What do they need to know from y'all about the job y'all have to do as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing for me is I like when scouts have, and it may not be watch their entire tape, but have an idea of who they're kind of looking at, or they have an idea of like what his strengths are, or even what the kid looks like. Just doing simple research from a face, like just looking at the roster, like that's a big thing to me.
Do you get people?
Um,
Do you get scouts that come in there like that have no idea who they need to ask about?
oh yeah, who are you guys recommending? Is one of the first things I get from a lot of these guys. And I'm like, I
Hey,
mean, and
you
I
don't have
try
to
to,
say names, but are there teams? Again, one of the things that we're trying to do is again we want a better level of scout. We want a better level of scouting visit. Are there teams where they're more prone to that?
um, not necessarily. I mean, I think, um, I do think that there is maybe a little correlation with some records and things. Um, I think that is a big thing as well. Just being attention to detail. I think asking the right questions. I think asking questions in general is a big thing because you get a lot of scouts that come in here and it's like, okay, tell me about this guy. Okay, well, I'll tell you where they're from. I'll tell you some things like that, and they're like, okay, I'm good. Well, you learn nothing about the kid,
Nothing more than you can
and
get from their bio on
and
the website.
yeah, and to be honest, like the less you ask about them, the less I'm not necessarily going to be open, but the less I'm gonna tell you at that point, because either you don't care, or it doesn't matter to you. And the thing too is is take notes. Like there are some guys that come in here and don't take notes, and then I get a call or a text saying, "Hey, what you say about this guy? Where was?" And so now I have to go through the whole process again.
Mhm.
So just be. I mean, you're at a school for what, a couple of hours for the most part, whether it's practice or just stopping by for information. So just kind of at least pretend to do the part. But for me, the questions piece, even if you don't care, like ask a random question, because at least it helps me understand that, okay, you actually care about what I'm saying or our players or whatever it may be. And also I would think too is like if you don't like one of our players, like I think there's a right and wrong way to go about saying that um, to them. Like don't. And I'll be honest, there was a team when I was recommending Upton Stout that basically said he sucked. He was never made, like off, like just going down the. He's too small. He'll never whatever. Okay, cool. Like that's fine. You don't have to say that. Um, but at the end of the day, like you just like be courteous. At the end of the day, these are our guys. We have relationships with these dudes. We love them. There's a reason we're trying to sell them and get them to the next spot. Like just be, you don't have to kill that guy. Just, yeah, he's fine or what, just little things like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me though is questions, just asking it, being a little bit attentive to it and all that stuff.
The feedback that I get from scouts consistently is, man, I'm going to a G5 program. They're handing me a list of 20 guys to watch. But you're saying that they're asking you, who do you like? Do y'all not make recommendations about who might be guys of interest then?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and me and our strength coach do a really good job of before fall camp even starts, which is tough here, especially this year when you bring in 60 guys. I have no clue who can play for you.
Right.
I've never seen them in pads. I've never seen them in any of that stuff. So it is hard. But by no means do we recommend 20 humans. Um, we don't want y'all to come in here and be like, okay, you're recommending me the third offensive tackle. Like that makes no sense. Like clearly they can't play for you. But we'll recommend at least 5 to 6 guys.
Okay.
That's about where we're at right now. And even then, it's okay. They're a camp guy, or there's a chance he's a big body. Like he won't make you look dumb when you bring him in here. So we honestly do try to narrow it down because one, and this is going to sound bad too, but I don't want to talk about 20 guys knowing that they can't um, play for you. It doesn't do either of us any favors. I don't want you to have to go write up 20 guys when we all know that that's not not a realistic thing, because if it were, we would be playing in the college football playoff. Let's
Yeah.
be real.
Yeah.
We would be winning a lot of freaking football games. We would go play on Sundays too. So if we had that many guys that could play for you,
Yeah.
so just being realistic about your own team as well, and it's not necessarily killing your guys, but it's just having a understanding. And like I said, I think it goes back to whenever I don't recommend 20 guys, it makes it makes it a little bit more credible. The guys that I am kind of recommending.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of look
Yeah,
at it.
that credibility piece is huge because again, it's I know it happened at Chat, it's happened at Western Kentucky and similar size schools where it's like, yeah, those 5 or 6 guys that we're recommending, but then there's always again a height, weight, speed guy, and that's where when the scout asks about him, there are schools that's like, oh yeah, I don't have any information on him because he wasn't on my list
Yeah,
as the school's list. So it's like, well, I still need information because again, the scout the NFL team and where you and where Western has always done a good job. It's like, hey, these are the 5 or 6 guys. Who else you got? Yeah, okay. I still have the full list of
yeah,
information
for sure.
and Coach Belt and again everybody that's been there. It's like, yeah, what do you want to know about him? Like again, I don't think he's for your level, but I'll tell you whatever I can about him.
Yeah,
And so all of a sudden, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe this is a guy. Again, there was I think the last year I went through Western, there were 3 DBs, and one of them the highly recommended player, super productive, was probably the least viable NFL candidate for different
Yeah,
reasons. And again,
for
you
sure.
start getting that balance. And again, for you guys to have all that information up front is, again, that's what makes the visit good, the openness, the honesty,
Yeah.
and everything like that.
And yeah, and we try to honestly we interview every one of these seniors that can come out, but before fall camp, before the first scout gets here. So that summer we're sitting down, whether he's the dang long snapper, whether he's the star quarter, whatever it may be, we're talking to them all. As if we're NFL scouts, whether as if we're going in on and we know nothing about these guys, just because we know there's a chance you might ask about them, and worst case, if I tell you, hey, let me go back and look at my notes, I don't know it. At least I have something,
Yep.
because it only helps you guys do your job. And like I said, if we go into a school, we want the same thing from those coaches, and all that stuff as well. So.
Cool. Well, what's as we wrap up, Neil, you got anything else?
I would choose another staffer. I just think we have enough students, we have enough people. Now we have one software as it is, so a lot of our stuff is all even the transfer portal. We don't have a software that inputs all these names. Like we're going through the actual website, typing it in, watching everybody, all that stuff. So having another person, whether it's to help with visits, to help with just talking to kids, whatever, I think that's more valuable than having a data software or a film. Like we can always go watch free huddle, like that's fine, but you don't have another person that can go walk around these six guys we got on OVs while we're trying to book six more OVs for the next day. So to me, always having more people helps. It's just another voice that can help sell the program, help do the little things, and all that stuff. So, and like I said, how we are too, we're all very manual. We do everything ourselves, all that stuff. So we're kind of used to that piece, at this point. So. Yeah, I think at this level, I think, a lot of it stems from, being at Chattanooga too, where it was literally just me. And I had, fortunate had some students to help too, but it was literally just me and we're figuring it out. And that's all, we didn't have money. And you kind of learn hey, this is the fastest way to do that, or this is the easiest way to do that. Like, I don't actually need that if I just do it this way. So it's all about learning the little things to make your job easier and more efficient. But no, I think it's like that for a lot of places too. Just not a ton of help, so you're having to figure it out kind of on your own.
Awesome. Well, Zach, this has been fantastic. I think we solved when the portal needs to be and exactly how to operate it. And so, we'll invoice the NCAA and College
Yeah.
Football Playoff Committee and we'll get that money distributed. But no, this has been fantastic. You're on social media. Where can people find you? What's the best way? You are a plus 100,000 follow guy on X, which again, if you're not already following him, you need to be. So where can people find you?
Yeah, my everything is Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff is at the Kramme. It's Kramme. Yeah, I don't know how I've gotten that's I tweet Bible verses. I give thanks to our Lord, all that stuff. I'm nothing special. I'm just an average guy working in recruiting. Like it is what it is. So, but no, I appreciate it, man. It's been awesome. Looking forward to it. Let's do it again. So let's keep it rolling.
Well, again, the as Neil always says, the one of the results of being a good guest is we will probably have you back on at some point when when you just keep upsetting people, keep on winning games. Again, maybe get a you and Jose Jefferson matchup again, maybe pregame 40.
Yeah,
something like that. Jose, I think, is going to like his odds in that matchup. But again, couple good friends of the program facing off this week. So good luck to you. Good luck to
appreciate
everything
it.
else throughout the year. And it's been great having you on.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys.
Agents, before we go, make sure you go check out Agent Live 360. It is at agentlive360.com for everything you need for your agency, from players to coaches, managing profiles, tracking invoices, sending invoices, getting paid, keeping up on every element of your entire agency. Notification emails, file folder storage, ROI, transactions, invoices, calendar, contracts, teams, reps, everything all in one spot for you. That is Agent Live 360. Hop on, request a demo. Yours truly will hop on, walk you through it. I can promise you we will talk some football as well. Sign up now with code TRIAL90 for a 90-day, 3-month trial at just $10 a month for Agent Live 360. That's at agentlive360.com. Go check it out now.